Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Sade. If you're new here, thank you so much for joining. I'm really excited about today's video because we have got 3 really great projects and it has been a little while in the making, but I'm so glad that I took the time to do them because I'm so excited that I get to share them with you now. I'm even more excited to say that this video I am partnering with Works. Works create some really amazing power tools and I'm going to get into those a little bit later, and make sure you stick around until the end because I've got a really exciting giveaway for you. As I mentioned, I have 3 projects coming up. The first project is a grid mirror, the second are some frames for some DIY canvas art that I made, and the third and most exciting to me is a DIY radiator cover. I don't want to keep you too long, so we will get into the video, but first please do remember to like and subscribe to my channel. It means the world, and please turn on your notification bell so that you don't miss an upload from me. Anyway, let's get into the first project. Now for this first project we are making a grid mirror, and I have listed what you will need and the measurements that I used. Please feel free to repeat these measurements if you'd like, or if you'd like to tweak them, just make sure you're taking the time to properly think through the measurements. With this mirror being a pretty big statement mirror measuring around 90 by 170 centimeters, I wanted to make sure that it wasn't going to be too heavy when we added the mirror tiles on top, so I opted for a 6mm MDF board as the backboard and foundation for the mirror. In order to cut this bad boy down, we are using the Works compact circular saw. The reason I love these Works tools so much is because they run off of a 20-volt lithium-ion battery, which you can swap in and swap out amongst all of your Works tools. Please make sure your batteries are never plugged in when they're not in use, but in order to change the blade on this, you're going to want to press in the spindle lock on the back, that is that red button. Use the Allen key to spin this off, take off the nut and the cover, insert the blade and replace that cover and nut. You're soon going to realise that that blade just spins and spins with the Allen key, and that means that it is not secure in place. So what you're going to want to do is press the red button on the back again, that spindle lock, insert the Allen key and then twist it as far as you can and as tightly as you can. Once you can't go any further, this means that it is secure and tight in place. The guide on top of the saw helps you set the depth of plunge that you'd like to work with when cutting your wood. The higher the number, the deeper the plunge. All I will say is, in order to reduce risks, make sure you use the depth that you need and need only. If you don't have the steady hands of a surgeon, or if you would like to measure up the width of the wood that you're cutting, this comes with a guide to keep your cuts nice and flush. I started off with a rough cut and took off the excess MDF that I didn't need, and then I used some clamps to clamp down a piece of straight wood to create my own guide to ensure that I had a perfectly square base from my mirror. Oh my god, that sounds so weird. Always use your earbuds when working with loud machinery. Anyway, we're gonna draft this up and make sure that the mirrors fit, mark off the cuts that we need to make, and then make the cuts. My trusty, my sidekick, my boo thing, the Gorilla wood glue is what we're going to be using to stick down these wooden panels to the backboard to start to create this grid effect that we can see. Just make sure that you're clamping them down so there are no bows and bends in them, and that you can keep them as flush as possible. I fast forwarded a little bit here because I didn't think you'd want to see every single cut, but basically I cut all of the wood, used the mirrors as a guide, and then started to slot them in to make sure that I had the design aspect down. Morning guys! So it is day 2. I'm so ecstatic with the progress that we've made so far. The mirror's looking fantastic. I'm going to now take out the mirror tiles because all of the slats of wood are secured. This little contraption, which I bought from eBay ages ago, they're in my kitchen under the sink cupboard, just to hold onto like cloths, just to maximise space. But because it's got the sucker plungy bit on the other side, sorry about all the noise by the way, I'm able to sucker it onto a mirror tile and take it out, which is really easy. So I'm now going to sucker plunge all of them out, and then I'm going to give it a light sanding with my new Works detailed sander. Works really hit the nail on the head. Get it? I'm so cringe. But Works really went up playing around when they made these tools. Honestly, I love them. There's the power share battery function, as I said before, a dust bag, and this is actually a detailed sander. So it comes with a detailed sanding attachment. You put it in, screw it in place, and that means you can get into those little nooks and crannies that really frustrate you when you're sanding down any type of furniture. And for this project, because I don't need to take any paint off or anything, I'm going in with 120 grit paper, just so that it gives it a smooth sanding and I can start to paint. Going in with my all-time favourite black furniture paint, the Frenchic paint Lazy range in the colour Loof. You will have seen this in a lot of my DIYs and projects in the past. It doesn't need a finishing wax because it has a wax built in, and more time it doesn't need a primer. I went in with the Plasticoat clear sealer in the finish satin to give it, as the name suggests, a satin finish, and also offer, I guess, another layer of protection. I purchased these mirror tiles from Dunelm. I think there were 4 in a packet for £8, but I know that you can get 4 in a packet for £7 from IKEA. They will be slightly different sizes though. They actually come with 4 sticky pads on the back that you're meant to be able to adhere to walls immediately. I didn't really trust this, especially considering I was making such a big mirror, so I went in with some grip fill, which is just a standard adhesive just to give it some extra security. Can I just add, this mirror would be perfect as a lean against the wall mirror, however, I actually wanted to hang it. I didn't install any system to hang it prior to adding the tiles and everything. If you do want to do that, I'd suggest adding something at the beginning of the whole process, because I had to go in afterwards and try to kind of fix my mistakes and add a French cleat system, which has worked, but I guess it would have been easier to do it from the beginning. And here we have our finished grid mirror. Project number 2, we are going to be creating some framed DIY canvases. I'm using the 75 by 75 centimetre deep edge canvases by Cowling and Wilcox. You're also going to need some kind of filler. I honestly just grabbed whatever was in my garage, nothing special. And the first thing we're going to want to do is to spread some of that filler all over the base of the canvas. I am just using a lollipop stick to spread the filler around, and then I'm using this special tool which has got these teeth in to create some texture in the canvas. You will see this a little bit later on. I will show the texture a little bit closer up, but I will link that tool down below if you would like to get one yourself. I apologise for the lack of daylight here, guys. I kind of just needed to get this canvas done one night. I had the urge, and you know, when you get the urge to do something like this, just run with it because you don't know if you'll get that creativity back. So I'm sorry for the lack of lighting. But what was so fun about creating these canvases is the fact that I just went with what I felt like I wanted to do. There was no rhyme or reason to whatever I was doing. And if you're not the most creative or artistic person, that could be quite annoying because you're probably thinking, well, I need to copy something. What can I copy? You can totally copy mine. I really don't mind at all. But I would say just really try to, I don't know, it sounds a bit cringy, but tap into your creativity and just let it take you where it wants to take you. There's no rhyme or reason, there are no rules. Just a little tip, start with the lighter colours and build them up. That way it's not so scary, you're not starting off with really bold colours, and you can build up the intensity as you like it. And if you're looking for a similar colour palette to mine, sorry to say that I got these colours in the sample section in B&Q on sale, so you probably can't find them, but they are kind of like this mushroomy, stony colours, and then that darker colour that I'm going in with is actually Payne's Grey, which you can find readily available, and I will link down below for you. In order to make the frames for these canvases, I went in with my Works sliding mitre saw. If you want me to do a tutorial on how to use this, please do let me know. But I set it up to have a mitre angle of 45 degrees so that I could create the corners for the frames. Up at a 45-degree angle. Perfect. In case you were wondering, I ended up using the pine strip wood that I got from B&Q, and it measured 6mm by 36mm and a full length of 2.4 meters. From here on out, it is super easy to put this together. I ended up using my Gorilla Wood glue again, gluing together those corner edges and assembling it around the canvas just to use the canvas as a guide. I would suggest investing in a band clamp, which is what I'm using here to keep this frame square. I've used it in the project coming up next as well, and honestly it's been a saviour. It only cost me £10 from Amazon, and I will link it down below for you, but this just helps to keep the frame in place. I've come back when everything is dry and it's perfectly square. I would suggest maybe going in with a stapler on the corners just to make sure that the wood sticks together, and perhaps a nail gun just to go into the sides, or some glue just to tack it to the canvas to make sure that it's fine. I ended up painting them black, and here is how they look. I'm going to pop up measurements for this project here for you, but I need to warn you, this project is about to be all over the place. I took part in an Instagram scrapwood challenge whereby I had to take all my scrapwood and create a project from it. I wanted to challenge myself and put my new sliding miter saw to good use, so I decided to make a radiator cover, so I'm going to take you on that journey with me. I made all of my cuts, and I made sure that I stayed organised by writing the letter that corresponded with my drawing and a description of which piece of wood it was, so that I was able to assemble it all together later on easily. This machine just makes life so easy, and I love the fact that there's a laser on there so I know exactly where I'm making my cut. I use that to cut all of my shorter bits of wood, and then I moved on to my compact circular saw to make some longer cuts. This gave me such sleek cuts that I needed for that perfect finish for the front of my radiator cover. In order to make this sit flush against the wall, I needed to carve out where the skirting board was, so I just went in and drew a kind of roundabout shape of how the skirting looked, making sure that I measured it. But truth be told, I really didn't like the way that I tackled this. I don't know if I had the wrong technique or the wrong tool. I was using a jigsaw, so if you know a better way that I should have done this, please let me know down in the comment section. It'll also help anyone else that is attempting to do this. So I had to break it down into small sections so that I could get my jigsaw through the thick wood that we used. Apologies once again for the lighting, but I had to bring this inside, and you know, British weather and all of that starts to get dark at 4 o'clock over here now. So I took them inside and I started to assemble them. The two thicker planks of wood that you see are the foundation of the radiator cover. These are the strength and stability that the radiator cover needs. So I ended up using those on the inside for structure, and I used no more nails to adhere them together. I'm going to go in with screws on top just for added security. First, I want to go into our fourth works tool, the slide driver. This screwdriver comes with a retractable screw holder, allowing you to hold your screws in place and do jobs one-handed, which I know is such a lifesaver for me personally. What I'm showing you here is the rapid reloadable cartridge. Now there are two of these, and they contain the most commonly used bits that you use around your house. This screwdriver is cordless and perfectly compact. I just had to share it with you. I ended up using some countersink drill bits that I got from Aldi, and I use these to first pilot a hole ready for the screw, but these are also brilliant because they create a conical hole which allow a screw to seat flush with the work surface. I then did the same thing and used the same process and screwed in those front MDF panels into the sides of the radiator cover. Oh, and please excuse my fluffy head. With the side pieces assembled, it was time to add on the front parts, and this is really easy because remember I told you to label them at the beginning. I simply put them in place, referring to my original drawings and measurements. I then gave the edges a good dose of the Gorilla Wood glue to make sure that it all stuck together.
Come find me in the night. We both know when it's right. Babe, I can ease your mind, but I want it my way. Come meet me in the crowd.
then went in with my band clamp. Again, I will link this down below for you, but this ensured that I squeezed everything together and it kept everything flush and square whilst it was drying. I ended up with this back of a picture frame, I think it was, which had quite a nice thick backboard. So I ended up using that and cutting it to size just to create this backboard for the central panel section that you can see here. Now, I don't think I showed this part, but I actually put some stuff on here to keep it weighted, and I also went in with a staple gun just to staple that backboard to the MDF to make sure that it was super secure. I'm sorry guys, you'll have to forgive me, but my brain was frazzled by this time at night, so I didn't end up filming this, but it was so easy. Those leftover wood slats that I had from my mirror DIY, I cut those down and I just simply no-nailed them down, and that was it, as simple as that. I wanted this to feel a bit more like a quality item, so I had some leftover moulding from my previous living room beading, moulding, paneling situation, so I ended up cutting it down to size, creating a mitre angle of 45 degrees and stuck it down with no more nails again, and it just created this really nice quality item feel to it. Similar to what we just did with the panel insets, I ended up cutting down some more of that beading to create a finish for the front of the shelf rather, that top shelf for the radiator cover, and I just stuck it on top. I didn't end up having a thick sheet of MDF, as I said this was a scrapwood challenge, so I ended up having to glue 2 sheets of 6mm MDF together to create that top shelf, and then I just covered it off and made it look a little bit more profesh by using some leftover beading. Would you believe that I did something else off camera? I actually ended up adding an extra type of beading to the front left and right, if you can see that thicker design there. So I ended up having to go in with some filler just to make a gap that was there a little bit more seamless. I let it dry and I went in with a sander just to buff it down and create a smooth surface all over the radiator cover. Once the shelf was dry, I whacked it on top and measured it out to make sure that it was sitting flush through the middle and looked even on both sides. And I used that same technique that we did at the beginning to countersink those screws inside. I just wanted to touch on the drill a little bit. This is the slammer drill and it's a cordless drill driver that also goes into hard concrete. It has 18 torque settings for maximum effort, as well as a screw, drill and unique active hammer technology setting. The moving mass of the slammer drill delivers maximum energy to the bit. It also has 2 variable speed settings, a torch, and it's just an all-round amazing drill. You're going to see in a second I ended up creating a little boo-boo, and that was just because I went too far forward, but it's nothing that a little filler can't fix. I ended up sanding the whole top down and then filling in any gaps and then sanding it again just to make sure that I created a smooth finish across the whole top, ready for an application of paint. Again, going in with my fave, the Frenchic paint Lazy range in the colour Loof, I ended up painting the entire thing in 2 coats of paint. This is one of my biggest woodwork projects and I absolutely loved it, and I think you guys would smash it, so I think you should give it a try. But anyway, this is what it looks like after. So those are the projects that I made using my new Works power tools. I'm really hoping that you guys liked them. Let me know down below which project was your favourite or which one you will be maybe implementing yourselves. Don't forget to head over to the Works website where you can pick up a whole host of tools. Even if you're a beginner or an intermediate or an advanced person, their tools are really powerful. I love the share power technology. Honestly, it makes jumping between tools so easy, especially if you're getting into these kind of more complex projects. You need tools like that. In the beginning of the video, you will remember that I said I had an exciting giveaway for you guys, and I absolutely do. Works are really kindly going to give away 3 power tools to one of you guys. They are going to be giving away the sander, the drill, and the screwdriver. Now, for any of you keen DIYers, or even for you guys that have some skills under your belt, these tools are perfect for jobs in and around the house as well as DIY projects. In order to win this bundle, head over to my Instagram where I have uploaded a photo, and all you have to do on that post is like it, save it, comment 3 friends and share it to your Instagram stories. Make sure you tag both my handle, which is _home of Sade, and the Works Instagram handle, and you'll be entered into the competition. Once again, I want to say a massive thank you to Works and for you guys for watching this video. I really do hope that you enjoyed it. As I said, let me know in the comment section which project you like the most. I've got another similar video coming up whereby I got some stuff from Facebook Marketplace and charity shops, and I'm going to be upcycling and flipping them into something that I would love to have in my own home. So make sure you stick around and hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss that video in the future. But for now, guys, I'm going to love you and leave you. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you in the next one. Lots of love. Bye. Mwah.